Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Berries and Herbs Beauty. Um, I'm late to the party, but that's okay. So, today we're going to make a version of the viral um, kojic acid, kojic acid, vitamin C, and turmeric face wash pads or face scrub. I don't know what they're called exactly, but anyway, that's what we're making today. The only difference is I'm not going to use kojic acid because I didn't have that readily available. What I am going to sub it out for, and this is completely optional. You use what you have, and I'm just going to use what I have here. So, what I have in place of the kojic acid is salicylic acid. And the difference between the two is kojic acid is good for dark spots. It's like a brightener. It helps with discoloration. Whereas salicylic acid works more on, like large pores, that kind of stuff. So, which is honestly, I need a combination of both. But again, I'm just going to use what I have on hand, which is the salicylic acid. So what you're going to need today is you're going to need some distilled water. You're going to need some form of foaming sudsing agent, surfactant, in other words. I have foaming apple, but you could use, what do you call that? It'll come to me. Um, there's obviously natural forms of face wash that doesn't have any additives to it. You could just use that in place of if you don't have a surfactant. Um, so I'm using. Let me show you what all I have. So I'm gonna use glycerin in mine. Glycerin is a humectant which draws moisture into your skin. I'm gonna use two forms of vitamin C. I have vitamin C ascorbate, which is the liquid form of vitamin C, and I like this because it doesn't discolor. If like if you use vitamin C powder, which I also have here, I'm going to use both. I have the vitamin C powder as well. I'm going to do a half and half. But this form of vitamin C does not turn brown over time, in other words. So we're going to use both of those. I have turmeric powder. I have a preservative. You will need a preservative. And I have bisbalol, which I like this, adding this product to any formulations that I make that, could be irritating to the skin. Like, vitamin C could potentially be irritating. Obviously, salicylic acid can be irritating. So I have a few, additives in this formulation that could potentially, if you have really sensitive skin, please don't follow this verbatim. Go down on the percentage rates if you have to. I'm using it at the rate that I'm using it because it's for me, for my skin, and it's built for it tough. Okay. What I'm trying to do for my almost 50-year-old skin is work on the pores. I'm starting to get the smile lines here. I have some enlarged pores kind of right in this area, so I want to work on that. I obviously have some acne spots, that I want to work on as well. So that's what I'm, formulating my face wash for. But so, just keep that in mind when we go over the percentages that I'm going to be using. Most of mine are at mid to the high level, but what I would recommend, especially with the vitamin C, because I think you can go up to like 20% of your formulation, I would recommend starting out at maybe 5. I'm going to go 10 on my vitamin C, and that's that. So let's go ahead and get started. I wrote everything out because again, trying to memorize everything right now. It is what it is. Okay. So we're going to start out with the glycerin. And so I'm going to put everything in this container right here. So we're going to use about 2 grams of glycerin, or, you can go up to even 5 grams because this will not, hurt you in any kind of way. It's actually really good for the skin. So I'm going to do, but I don't have a ton of it left, so I'm just going to use what I have. So I'm going to do, well, I went a bit over. It's fine. So we have our glycerin in. And what I'm going to start with first, because I want to start having it be able to dissolve fairly quickly, is the salicylic acid. And salicylic acid you can dissolve in quite a few things, mostly like water-based things. Like glycerin is good. Obviously you can just use water. I wouldn't recommend trying to dissolve it in oil or anything that's like oil-based. So I have 2 grams of salicylic acid, and let's just say 5 grams of glycerin, okay? Even though I may have a bit more than that in there, and it's okay. So anyway, I'm just gonna mix that up. Next in, I'm gonna add in my vitamin C powder, because I would say that's probably the next kind of trickiest powder to get to just dissolve, easily and smoothly. So we're just going to add that. This is 5 grams of vitamin C powder. In total, I'm using 10. I'm using 5 grams of the powder, and I'm using 5 grams of the ascorbate. I'm trying to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. So all right, so there we go, 5 and 5. And what you're trying to get to as well is you want to kind of weigh out your formulation beforehand. This is going to be a 100-gram formulation. So whatever I don't add in product, I'm going to fill the remaining percentage up with water. So now this is just something I'm adding in. This is a totally optional additive. I honestly would not recommend you using this if this is like your first time making this, or if you have more sensitive skin. By all means, please don't use it. So anyway, this is a fruit acid complex, and this you can use between 5 and 15%. I'm going to use about 10 grams. And all this is like bilberry extract, sugarcane extract, and orange extract. It's a few other like fruits in there, but anyway. So I'm going to use about 10 grams of this. And again, I wrote some of this stuff down. So, yeah, so I'm sorry. This fruit acid complex just kind of helps with, your skin complexion and clarity as well. So now we're gonna mix that all in, and it's not completely dissolved yet, and that's okay. I just want you to, especially if you're using abrasive powders like salicylic acid or kojic, not kojic acid, but kojic acid, I'm sorry. No matter what powder you decide to use in your formulation, just make sure that it's fully dissolved, because it can be an irritant. on your skin, and that wouldn't be a good thing. So now I'm going to add in this Bisbal. I'm just about out of this. As I mentioned, this has enhanced skin protection. I'm sorry, enhanced penetration. So what this does is, like, when you add other products like vitamin C, and it just kind of enhances the absorption into your skin. And it's also an anti-irritant. I like that. So again, if you're using vitamin C and all that kind of stuff, you want to add something to it that makes it a little less irritating on the skin. So that's what this is going to be. And you can use this from 0.5 to 2% of the formulation. Again, I don't have that much, so I'm just going to use whatever's left in here because I'm sure it's probably not a lot. And I'm at about 1.3 grams of that. I'm going to finish mixing that up. All right, so now I'm going to add the turmeric powder. And with my turmeric powder, I believe it's about 13 grams, or like 13%. But again, with turmeric, it is super safe and gentle. And as you know, that helps with discoloration as well. So you don't have to be shy about using the turmeric powder. Just use whatever you want, however much you want when it comes to the turmeric. So that's that. Next in, I'm going to add in my surfactant, my foaming agent. It is foaming apple. There's a ton of them out there. There's a literal ton. I would recommend using, just doing your own research to find out what would work best for you. If you want it to be more foaming, less foaming, more irritating. Less irritating, whatever. There's a chart somewhere out there regarding surfactants. You definitely want to look that up and just kind of see what works for you. So with this foaming apple, and again, this is a formulation that I wrote out like within 5-10 minutes, so I didn't memorize the majority of what I put on here. So foaming apple, 1 to 25%. I'm going to use it at about 10%. So because I don't necessarily need it to be like super sudsy. It's a personal preference, obviously. I just want it to be effective. And so next we're going to add our water. I'm going to add about 55 grams of water. All right, good enough. Okay. And lastly, now when it comes to preservatives, you want to research the preservative that you use, whatever you use particularly. And trying to see how much time I have here left. Okay, so whatever you decide to use, just do the research on the preservative and see how much you need for your particular formulation. All right, so I'm just going to add about 3 to 4 grams of my preservative. And then you just want to mix it all really well. And I want to remind you too, now with formulations that, again, involve any kind of acidic substance, because it is going on your skin is a living organism. It has its own pH. You definitely want to check the pH. And every product that you use also has to be used at a certain pH as well, if that makes sense. So you just kind of want to make sure it's all like compatible with one another. You know, just 15-20 minutes of research before you get started putting together a product is always beneficial. All right, so that's that. We are done. I already have the pads that I picked up earlier today, and you're just gonna go ahead and pour your mixture in here. Now, I probably should have doubled this or used less pads. That's my tip of the day. So either add more water, which I think I'm going to do that right now, as a matter of fact. I'm just going to double the amount of water and surfactant that I used. So since I used, so it's going to just be a 200% formulation instead of 100, or you can even just do 150. But anyway, I'm going to do another 10 grams of surfactant, foamy apple, and then I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to do 40 grams of water, so it'll be 150. Yeah. Again, tweak it how you need to work for you. All right, so add this in. Now let's just hope that's enough, because I might still need to add more. We'll see, because these pads are like really sucking up this stuff. Yeah, we might have to go to 200%. So I'm just gonna add, instead of adding more of the other ingredients, I'm just gonna add a little bit more water, just because I personally, with this many pads, I probably should have just put less pads in there, but that's okay. I'm just gonna add 50 more grams of water to it and call it a day. All right, so that's 50 grams. And that should do it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for taking the time out to watch. And I plan on going live, if not tonight, within the next day or so. So just stay tuned for that. Again, thanks for watching. Have a good day.